When we think of ancient Egypt, we tend to picture grueling labor under a blazing sun, millions of stone blocks being hauled to build eternal tombs. But if you could step through a portal into a village along the Nile 3,000 years ago, you wouldn't just hear the sound of hammers. You would hear laughter, the clinking of game pieces, and the splashing of competitive swimmers. We often view ancient civilizations through the lens of their monuments, making them feel distant, almost robotic. Yet the people who built the pyramids had a profound obsession with enjoying the present moment. In fact, their religious beliefs dictated that the afterlife was simply a perfected version of their earthly lives, meaning if you didn't know how to have fun here, your eternity would be incredibly boring. So how did a society without smartphones, theaters, or internet spend their Friday nights? The answers are preserved in the dirt, and they look surprisingly familiar. Long before chess or Monopoly, there was Senet. Walk into almost any Egyptian household, from a humble farmer's mud brick home to the golden palace of Tutankhamun, and you would find this grid-based board game. To the naked eye, it looks like a simple pastime of moving pieces across 30 squares based on the throw of casting sticks. But to the Egyptians, Senet was a high-stakes psychological thriller. Over centuries, the game evolved from a casual hobby into a simulation of the soul's journey through the underworld. Landing on the wrong square didn't just mean losing a turn, it symbolized falling into the waters of chaos. If board games were for the evening, the Nile River was the ultimate daytime stadium. But leisure on the water wasn't always peaceful. Hieroglyphs depict a highly popular adrenaline-fueled sport known as water jousting. Teams of young men would crowd into small papyrus boats, row directly at each other, and attempt to violently knock their opponents into the water using long poles. Here's the catch. The Nile wasn't a swimming pool. It was teeming with aggressive hippos and massive Nile crocodiles. Surviving the game required intense athletic skill, making it both a beloved spectator sport and a dangerous rite of passage. For the elite of Thebes and Memphis, hosting a massive party was the ultimate status symbol. Guests would arrive dressed in fine, translucent linen, and servants would place a strange object on their heads, a cone of scented animal fat. As the evening progressed and the room grew warmer, the cone would slowly melt, bathing the guests' hair and clothes in the fragrance of lilies and myrrh. Wine flowed freely, poured from massive clay amphoras, while professional dancers, acrobats, and musicians playing harps and lutes provided the backdrop. It was a sensory overload designed to celebrate the pure joy of being alive. But while the wealthy were melting perfume on their heads, the average Egyptian found entertainment in things that were far more bizarre and crude. Leisure wasn't just for adults. Archaeologists have dug up incredibly sophisticated toys that prove childhood hasn't changed much in thousands of years. They found wooden cats with jaws that could open and close via a string, miniature balls made of leather stuffed with chaff, and spinning tops. But one of the most fascinating discoveries is a mechanical toy consisting of 3 carved wooden pieces representing bakers kneading bread. Pull a string, and the figures realistically move back and forth. For an agricultural society, these toys weren't just distractions, they were tools to mimic the adult world through the universal language of play. When a family wanted a weekend getaway, they went to the marshlands. Hunting in the thick papyrus thickets along the delta was a favorite pastime for all social classes. But unlike modern hunting, which often relies on stealth, Egyptian family outings were loud and collaborative. Families would pack into small skiffs, using trained hunting cats to flush birds out of the reeds. Once the birds took flight, the hunters would throw curved wooden sticks, essentially ancient boomerangs, to bring them down. Tomb paintings frequently depict this exact scene, showcasing it as the ancient equivalent of a peaceful Sunday afternoon picnic in the park. When we look at all these pieces together, a striking pattern emerges. The ancient Egyptians didn't view fun as an escape from reality or as a guilty pleasure to indulge in after work. To them, joy was a cosmic necessity. Their mythology states that the goddess Hathor was the deity of music, dance, and joy, and keeping her happy kept the universe in balance. By playing senet, jousting on the Nile, or sharing a drink with family, they weren't just killing time, they were actively participating in the preservation of their world. The stone monuments they built were designed to resist the flow of time, making the Egyptians seem rigid and distant. But the artifacts of their leisure tell a truer story. Long after the pharaohs faded into history, the laughter shared over a board game, the splash of a river sport, and the warmth of a family gathering still echo down the Nile. They remind us that across 3,000 years, the human desire to simply enjoy the moment remains completely unchanged. If this changed how you look at the ancient world, hit the like button. Let me know in the comments, which of these ancient pastimes would you actually try? See you in the next deep dive.